unpaid caretaker of a country property he had been trying to sell for 18 months. Jean-Paul was the proprietor of a chain of nursing homes, which were later investigated by the Health Commission. But he also liked to paint, and his architect had made him a studio whose riverside wall opened like a Loo Bay door. The natural light, as he had so sweetly warned me, even as he made his gift, was perhaps a little green, a fault produced by the ancient casuarinas that lined the river. I might have told him that this issue of natural light was bullshit, but again I held my tongue. That first night out of jail, at a miserably wine-free dinner with Jean-Paul and his wife, I agreed that we had tragically turned our backs on natural light, candlelight, starlight, and it was true that the kabuki had been superior in candlelight and that the paintings of Manet were best seen by light of a dusty window. But fuck it, my work would live or die in galleries, and I needed 240 reliable volts of alternating current to do my stuff. I was now destined to live in a paradise where I could be sure of no such thing. Jean-Paul, having so generously given us his house, began immediately to fret that I might somehow hurt it. Or perhaps the true alarmist was his wife, who had, long ago, caught me blowing my snotty nose into her dinner napkin. In any case, it was only 6 mornings after we first arrived in Bellingen that Jean-Paul burst into the house and woke me. This was a nasty shock at almost every level, but I held my tongue and made him coffee. Then, for 2 hours, I followed him around the property as if I were his dog, and every stupid thing he told me I wrote down in my notebook. An old leather-bound volume that was as precious to me as life itself. Here I had recorded every colour mix I had made from the time of my so-called breakthrough show in 1971. It was a treasure house, a diary, a record of decline and fall, a history. Thistles, said Jean-Paul. I wrote thistles in my lovely book. Mowing, I spelled it out. Fallen trees across the river. Still chainsaw. Grease nipples on the slasher. Then he was offended by the tractor parked beneath the house. The woodpile was untidy. I set Hugh to stack it neatly in the pattern Jean-Paul preferred. Finally, my patron and I arrived at the studio together. He removed his shoes as if he meant to pray. I followed suit. He raised the big Loo Bay door to the river and stood for a long moment looking down at the Never Never, talking, this is not made up, about Monet's fucking water lilies. He had very pretty feet. I had noticed them before, very white and high-arched. He was in his mid-40s, but his toes were straight as a baby's. Although he owned some 20 nursing homes, Jean-Paul was not personally a great one for touching, but here, in the studio, he laid his hand on my forearm. "You'll be happy here, Butcher." "Yes." He gazed around the long, high room, then began to brush those rich, perfect feet across the soft surface of the floor. If his eyes had not been so moist, he would have looked like an athlete preparing for some sci-fi track event. "Coachwood," he said. "Isn't it something?" He meant the floor, and it was truly lovely, a washed pumice grey. It was also a rare rainforest timber, but who was I, a convicted criminal, to argue ethics? "How I envy you," he said. And so it went, by which I mean that I was as docile as a big old Labrador quietly farting by the fire. I could have begged him for canvas and he would have given it to me, but he would have wanted a painting. It was that picture, the one I was not going to give him, that I was thinking of right now. He didn't know it, but I still had about 12 yards of cotton duck. That was 2 good pictures before I was forced to...